This man sold one of his kidneys and his right eye. He even gave away his most important organs in exchange for a large sum of money. All of this was to repay the debts left by his deceased father. However, the money was nowhere near enough to settle the debts. Denji had once thought about ending his life in front of his father's grave, but just as he hesitated, a demon appeared beneath the tree beside him. At first, Denji thought he would be killed, but to his surprise, the demon was close to death himself. Denji watched the demon struggle in pain and thought about his own suffering. In that moment, he made a decision that would change his life forever. Denji signed a contract with the demon. He made it clear that his blood wasn't free, that it was a contract. He would help the demon, but the demon also had to help him in return. Denji ultimately decided he didn't want to die. From then on, Denji lived with Pachida, who had taken the form of a chainsaw. Denji became a demon hunter with a very high-paying job. However, after many deductions and various debts, Denji ended up with very little money. He could only afford 1800 yen a day for bread, and if he was lucky enough to have bread with jam, that was considered a great treat. Luckily, Pachida was always by Denji's side, staying with him through every night. However, Denji's miserable life was far from over, and it only brought him more despair. One night, Denji suddenly coughed up blood. He had inherited his mother's heart disease, and his mother had died from the same condition. As Denji struggled, he received a job offer as a demon hunter. The employer took him to an abandoned factory, but Denji didn't expect that it was a carefully planned betrayal. The employer had sold him out to a zombie demon in exchange for money, and the demon's target was the heart of a demon hunter. Denji, desperate to survive, painfully fled with Pachida, but the zombies quickly caught up to him. The zombies lunged at Denji, and he didn't want to be extremely wealthy. He simply wanted to live a normal life, such a simple thing that he couldn't achieve. When Denji and Pachida were torn to pieces and thrown into a garbage bin, Denji began to reflect on his life. He thought of Pachida and made one final wish, that Pachida would take over his body and live the life of a normal person. Just as Denji was about to die, Pachida answered his call. Pachida told Denji that he liked hearing him talk about his dreams. Denji was shocked. Pachida explained that this was part of their contract. He would give Denji his heart, but in exchange, Denji had to show Pachida his dreams. When Denji crawled out of the trash bin, he noticed a new pull string attached to his chest. Denji was reborn in a completely new form, and his heart was filled with grief over Pachida's sacrifice. The zombies, who were bound to demons, lived lives of luxury yet were never satisfied. But Denji suddenly realized that he was no different. He had been content with Pachida before, but he wanted more. It turned out that everyone was this greedy. While it wasn't necessarily a bad thing, if it got in their way, Denji would make them pay. Denji jumped up, and his chainsaw instantly pierced the demon's left eye, ripping the demon apart. Denji would show no mercy to those zombies who had sold their souls. As long as he killed these demons, he could repay all his debts. This deal was the best he could get. And so, Denji began his violent slaughter in the factory. After an unknown amount of time, when the public security demon hunters arrived, they saw nothing but bodies scattered across the floor and a monster standing in the pool of blood, covered in chainsaw marks. Makima was curious if Denji had done this. She went to hug Denji, and Denji slowly began to regain his human form. Makima told Denji that he now had two choices, either he could be killed as a demon, or he could be raised as a human. If he was raised, she would provide him with food. After becoming a giant of electric power, Denji's fate was complete.